Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. So, um, yeah, I'd mentioned this before that not really much left to say about Casey. And the truth is, I probably talked about him way too much, and I don't intend, to make him a regular feature of this channel going forward. I mean, not that I wouldn't like to. Again, my dream, my ideal world would be to do two Casey videos a day until for the rest of eternity. But the thing is, there's just not enough new material to do that, and I don't want to force it. But I know that this video was occasionally I can watch some of his stuff, can force myself to watch some of his stuff, and occasionally he finds kind of new spins on the same dumbassery that I'm able to respond to it. So that's what I think happens here. So he's going to tell you now about why women aren't attracted to modern men. Now, I hadn't noticed this, that modern women weren't attracted to modern men. I think it's actually kind of refreshing to see a Casey video with something like that, because my feed is like filled with these MGTOW videos. So all I'm used to seeing is stuff like why men are done with modern women. So it's actually kind of a relief to see it from another perspective. Like, this is actually saying something about modern men instead of just, the, whole thing about how modern women, are evil. Now we're going to hear more about the failings of modern men. So let's see it.
Today's video, I'm going to be explaining why modern women are no longer attracted to the modern man, and oftentimes why 99.9% of guys struggle.
We're up to 99.99%. I guess I haven't been following Casey that closely. I believe it used to be 99% of men were bottom feeders, and now it's 99.99%. So only the most elite of the elite, are full stack males or full stack men, I guess.
Struggle not only in their day-to-day life, but struggle attracting, the quality of companion, the quality of woman.
Whoa, wait a minute. Did he just say that 99.99% of men are struggling in their daily life? Like, I don't even think incels would say it's that bad.
That they want. Now, this video is going to be extremely deep, and I'm not going to hold.
Well, without seeing the rest of the video, although I'll admit I have seen, some of it after this, no, it will not, because depth is something that you are physically incapable of doing. Physically, mentally, spiritually, depth is something that Casey Zander is not capable of. You are only capable, and I know I'm being a little bit mean here, but it's the truth. You are only capable of the most shallow possible examination of things. In fact, your lack of depth is, probably the main reason that your most recent relationship failed, which hasn't stopped you from continuing to offering a relationship mastery course.
To hold anything back, because we're going to get into everything that stems from modern day men's victim mentality to not prioritizing the right things in life, to the extreme laziness and the extreme focus on things that don't actually give them an ROI in life.
I just want to stop for 1 second and say that, I've also watched a bit of Kevin Ray Wilder's videos recently, and I know that I've done some responses to him. But the thing is, like, yeah, no, Kevin's bad. I'm not disputing that Kevin's bad. Don't pay Kevin for coaching, and he gets a lot of shit wrong. But like, the value in Kevin's videos is like so much greater than any red pill guy I've ever seen. And I mean, is it like any good? No. I mean, it's still garbage. But the thing is, like, even something that sucks is so much better than not just Casey, but even the guys who aren't that unlikable, like Joe Descartes and Rollo is pretty unlikable, but but more than like somebody like Rollo too.
To everything that stems into their worldview. Okay, in order for this video to truly stick, first off, you're going to have thick skin, because probably you are a 99%er and some of this is going to hurt. But not only that, you have to be willing and you have to be open.
Speaking of thick skin, and I think I've mentioned this before, yeah, Casey's pathetic, but I do really respect, a few things about him, and one is the work ethic, and which I really do think is admirable. Like, you wish that it had been put to a better cause, but even still, the work ethic, the tenacity, um, the determination, but also just the guts that it takes to put yourself out there the way that Casey does. Because I mean, what I would never do what Casey did, because first of all, I wouldn't be capable of it because I don't have the look and stuff that he does. But the even if I did, I wouldn't be able to do it for my conscience. But also, like me, like I wouldn't be willing to put myself out there that way. Like, it's just like to actually like put yourself out there as an example of like some Chad alpha, even if it's delusional, takes a lot of guts because there's going to be people like me ripping that shit apart. And but so and he just I mean he probably doesn't know who I am, but I know he knows that there's criticism of him out there, and he just takes it in stride and does his thing, and that I do respect.
Open to change. So can we at least both agree before I dive into this, like, are you guys cool with that we are going to be open to change? We're going to make an agreement in this video that we are open to change and we will change. If you can do that, comment below this video and put "I'm ready," so that way I know that.
Oh man, I didn't even check the comments. Oh no, please tell me that nobody actually did that. Please, please, please. Oh no.
This actually makes sense and you're ready for this journey. Here goes. The biggest reason why majority of men struggle with women is because they are extremely effing lazy.
No, not the biggest reason. I think it's just too broad a thing to even say like what is the reason that men struggle with women. I mean, first you would have to define like what age group are we talking about, like which demographics are we talking about. Do most men even really struggle with women? That's not my experience in my friend group. I know I'm older than most YouTube viewers. I'm older than most of my viewers. Us being in my late 30s. I was recently at a friend's wedding, and of the guys I grew up with, um, everyone is either married or has a kid, except for a few of the ones who I just wasn't really close with. And even then, that's like really small numbers. And it's like who aren't married. So this is not the in my age group, and it might be different with younger guys. I know Casey is younger. He's right on the borderline of Zoomer and millennial. It could very well be that most guys in that group are struggling with women. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay that way. And when I was that age, I would say that I don't know if I would say the majority. I mean, I don't know what to say about that, struggling with women. I can tell you that the guys I know, the the majority of the guys I know who are either wifed up now or have kids now, were single, when they were Casey's age. They were either, womanizing Chad types, or they were, betas who just got scraps. But they weren't getting shut out. They weren't incels, but they, me, full disclosure, I haven't been with any girls since college. So for me, it's been a longer dry spell. But the Oh wait, no, that's not true. Because what about that? There was no that, with one exception, with one exception, yeah. But the it's been a long time. So maybe you could put me in that category too. Then the so so yeah, that's I just I think like but anyway, but of the guys who are struggling with women, so I'm guessing what Casey's really talking about is middle class, white, um middle class white American guys. I think that's what he meant. I think that's most of his clientele, most of his viewers are in that thing. Um, are who are in the Zoomer types, Zoomer white middle class American or Western. Or at least affiliated with that culture. I know he's at least got some guys who work with him who are black, but they may be like if you're a black guy and watching Casey Zander, like I mean, with all due respect, like how black are you? I mean, obviously your heritage is black. I get that, but like culturally, I have to wonder, like, or like, do you even really identify as black? Or like most, my guess would be if a black guy is watching Casey, probably he's one of those guys who most of his friends are white. And he mostly dates white girls, which is, I mean, again, I'm not trying to devalue his heritage. I'm not saying he's not really black, but culturally he kind of is. And so that's and I don't mean it as an insult. The So I think that I think Casey's probably just wrong that most guys are struggling on, but and I think he means if he means a specific demographic, I just don't know. And I'm sorry, I definitely went way longer on this point than I should have. But the reason he gave that they're just too lazy. Again, I don't know a lot of guys in this age range. I find that very hard to believe. The guys I knew who were single at age 25, were they just too lazy? Was that what was stopping them from getting women? No, I mean, no, it wasn't. What was stopping them from having a relationship, the younger guy, I mean, when I was young, the guys I knew, was stopping them from getting a relationship is that I would say more immaturity, if you want to call it anything. They weren't really there. They wanted to play video games. They wanted to go out and drink. They wanted to, but they weren't lazy. I mean, they were already working, full time professional jobs by then, and they, were physically in good shape. So I don't I don't think that's it. Now again, maybe with the Zoomers it's worse. But no, I don't think that's it. I think insofar as guys Casey's age and younger are struggling with women, it's probably mostly that they're not really um, emotionally ready for a serious relationship yet. And as for the ones who are ready for it and do want it, again, I would say it's too broad of what's stopping them, but I would say laziness wouldn't be the biggest culprit. I really would be shocked if that were the case. Then again, Casey would know more about it than me, so maybe I'm wrong.
Just let that sink in. They are extremely lazy.
Yeah, what is there to let that sink in? Did you really say something like super profound there? I got it. I got it. There's nothing to sink. There's nothing there that needs to be sunk in. I understood what you said.
Do not want most guys do not want to do any work at all.
Nope, not true. Not true. I mean, I've been hearing this complaint my whole life, about my generation, and then people say the Zoomers are so much worse. But the thing is, I see Zoomers. I see Zoomers near where I work all the time. I see them in the stores near when I go shopping. They look completely normal. They look fine. I don't see any type of super laziness. I believe that their attention spans are probably shot because they grew up on the iPhones, but they seem fine. I don't see any laziness, any particular laziness from it. So hell, one of the kids who does the trash route on my street is a Zoomer. That's really hard work. Um, so no, I don't think that's true. That people are too lazy and then that's keeping them from romantic success.
They think that they should be able to walk up, talk, say hello, and that should be good enough, and them as is should be good enough to get the quality of companion that they want. And I know the typical victim mentality and the typical excuse. The excuse is, why do I have to put in this work? And the girl that I'm talking to doesn't have to do anything other than stand there and exist.
I don't. I've never heard a guy complain about that. Actually, what am I saying? That's not true. I have. This would have been a pretty long time ago during the old early manosphere days, saying that guys, some the like proto MGTOW type guys, or they would call it MRAs back then, were saying shit like, women don't really have to do anything except not be fat. Men have to build up their bodies. Blah 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 blah. And and I have seen like especially some more autistic guys get frustrated that like she doesn't have to do anything. Why do I have to like do all this stuff to court her? And then like the difference obviously is because women are the selectors and the selector is the one that needs to be courted. That's just how it goes. I think most guys though understand that. I think they instinctively understand it. I think there's very few who don't. Um, However, there's also, especially with, the proliferation of the black pill, there's some stuff that people notice. And that is that the script reverses when Chad enters the picture. And when Chad, like, when the Chad doesn't have to court. He will sometimes if there's a woman who he's interested in, because there's some women who just like you're not going to get them if you don't court them. Period. It doesn't matter how good you look. But Chad doesn't need to though to get very attractive women. He can just sit there, literally just sit there, and women will come to him. I've seen it happen, and every guy's seen it happen. And so that's more of a noticing. So for me, like this is something that you can just apply to everything, and you can be like I mean, there's somebody who's dealt with black pillars. They're very frustrating to deal with. It's one of the things that's made me a little bit sympathetic with Kevin Ray Wilder is, because a lot of the frustration that I hear in his voice when he talks about black pillars is how I feel. And the but there's at least a kernel of truth with the black pill, which is that and it applies to more than just dating or womanizing or whatever you want to call it. That these Chad types who don't do anything except exist, women come to them. So all of this stuff, the Casey Xander type stuff, or the blue pill or red pill work on yourself stuff, is just seems like a bunch of absolute nonsense. Um, because for the same reason, it's like, there's kids all over America who put way more effort into like learning the intricacies of basketball technique than somebody like LeBron James. And yet LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players to ever live, possibly the greatest. Now, how much time do you think when LeBron was a kid, he spent like working on the minutia of his technique, on footwork and stuff like that? No, he just went out there and did it. And that's, the case with most great people. I mean, really, generally speaking, with most great people. And then there's some who like really refine it, like the Tom Brady types and stuff like that. But, they always had the base there that they were able to just go and be super good or even great without putting in much effort. Usually, even they had to do at least some stuff. Versus you have other people who need to do tons of effort and don't necessarily get a lot of results to show for it. Um, this is made even worse by, in pretty much anything you see, the more naturally good at something, the more natural aptitude you have for something, the better results you'll get when you do put work into it. If you're somebody who naturally like just can see a math problem and get it, it makes sense to you, then putting in a lot of work into math will get you like better results than somebody like me who doesn't have much aptitude for math. Doesn't mean that people like me can't still get good at math and do stuff, but it does mean that like aptitude is very important. It's not everything, but it's very important. And I think that's what guys are mostly noticing is that Chad has that aptitude, and that nothing they can do is going to allow them to compete with Chad. And that's a fact. If like, can you have success with women, even women outside your league, without being Chad or without having high status? To a point, yes. But you will never have the level of success that Chad does, even though no matter how much work you put in, even though Chad does no work whatsoever. I think that's what guys are noticing. Some guys get frustrated about it, but most I think accept it and understand it.
Well, the reason being is because it's a different qualification standard. Okay, if you want to attract the girl in the beginning, you're going to have to do the things that will show that you can do that. Now, chances are, if you can attract her, you can attract a lot of different women, which means her qualifications is on the back side, the back half, which is retaining the guy that she actually wants. Because chances are, if you
Yeah, this is true. It's a good point.
can attract her, you can attract lots of women. This is a skill set that you can sharpen. So because of that, she has work to do as well to keep you satisfied once you guys have entered into a relationship. But you have to understand, it's a different set of qualification metrics. Your work.
Well, it also the power dynamics shift with age. As long as you're always dating within your age range, you'll definitely notice as you get older that the extreme imbalance, like with the extreme favoritism, the advantage that women have in the dating market, is really only a product of middle school, high school, college, and under 30. Um, by the time you're in the post 30 age, it's different things that women are looking at. We can, talk the epiphany stage or red pill Rolo psychology till the cows come home. I'm not, we're not talking about that here though. What I will say though is that the balance of power does shift. And I think that's probably related to what Casey's saying. Now, after you're in the relationship, when you're in a long term relationship, you're probably either past 30 or you're, more settled down, even if you're not past 30 or you're with somebody who's more mature. And in that case, you're, a stable guy who's going to be there and is going to be a reliable partner. Well, that means a lot, because those kind of guys, I mean, they're not like rare as hen's teeth, but they're not necessarily super common. It gets to a point where that's the number, like, just like the number one thing a young woman is looking for is height, and to a lesser extent, face. Um, as women get older or as they mature, that's just not. I mean, it's still important, and I'm sure there's some women who it is still the most important thing to. But really, I mean, it changes as they get older. The most important thing comes: is this guy a good long-time partner? And is potentially a good father. The provider shit, that's more of like a bit of red pill nonsense. I don't think any women are really expecting to be provided for. So that's not really true. But I would say that has more to do with it. So, but what he said about a man's value being bigger on the back end, yeah, but there's more to it than that. I mean, I think that's more age related than anything else, as opposed to being in a relationship. I think if you're an immature 20-year-old in a relationship, the unless your looks mogging her, the like big time, her SMV is much bigger than yours, and her. I mean, even still, women tend to be more invested. It really is. It's an issue of who's more emotionally invested in the success of the relationship. So yeah, and you're right. Even when you're young, it's usually gonna be the woman. So that's true. Whereas men are more emotionally invested in getting laid, which women don't really care about. So I think that's really where the imbalance is coming from. And I think Casey's just completely missing that.
Work is on the front end. The girl that you're talking to or the companion that you're trying to get, her work is on the back end. Okay.
Well, yeah, in practice, that is often the result. Yes, I will give him that. And despite all the psychological gobbledygook I just said, even if it was technically correct.
That's just how it works. Most men are extremely effing lazy. There's a victim mentality that every single guy has where they think that they're owed something. And they think that they're cool because they live this lifestyle that facilitates their negative behavior. So if you look at the type of guy that most women run into, they smoke pot all day, they play video games, they don't do it. Like, think about what a video game is. You're literally.
Well, see, I don't think women care. I don't know, who are we talking about. This is the problem when you say women. I'm going to assume you mean young middle class white women. Um, they don't care. That stuff's completely fine with them. They get it that guys are a bunch of lazy mopes who want to smoke weed and smoke video and play video games. It's just not a big deal. Women aren't going to lose attraction to a guy because he plays a lot of video games. Women get that young guys like to play video games. They're fine with it.
Literally sitting there on your couch, staring at a wall. And if the screen with pixels wasn't there, and I went and I unbolted that off the wall and I took it down, what would be behind you would be sheetrock and paint. That's what.
So there's that, those great Buddhist insights of Casey to show what are you actually doing when you're looking at a video game. It's just pixels on a screen, and what you're literally doing is staring at sheetrock. It's like, yeah, okay, Casey. I think you should leave it to Buddha, and you should stick with, selling snake oil.
That's what you're staring at. This victim mentality of men thinking they don't have to do any work. They don't have
something that no men think, okay?
To do anything to improve themselves. They don't have to do anything to.
Again, it's not that they don't think they have to improve themselves. It's that you have younger guys being more realistic now about how much. There's two different things going on here. One is how much can they improve themselves, depending on what you mean by that. And two are what would be the likely results of said improvements. Is that going to be enough to attract women? The answer is usually no. The ways that men can improve themselves, other than certain types of surgeries and gaining more status, are not going to make you any more attractive to women. I'm sorry.
To speak better, they don't have to do anything to actually.
To speak better? What the hell are you talking? What is he talking about? That thing with like the fake bass in his voice? That's not going to help. Okay, that's not. And this gets into another thing that I've noticed about Casey. Casey, like Black Pillars, actually, has a very narrow view of what women are attracted to. He has like the Chad archetype, who granted, I'm going to be honest with you here, Stacy's only go with Chads, generally speaking. Chads are guys with very high status. But that's just looks matching. But that's not necessarily what every woman wants. I know that's like, there are, just like, the one thing that women universally agree on is height, but beyond that, there's a pretty broad, thing of what women like. And I think, I'll let Casey start it up and then we can get back to it later in the video.
To get further ahead in life is the exact reason why they're stuck, lonely, depressed, probably have low T, and can't even get anywhere in life because they strictly don't focus on the right things. So if this is you, if you've been extremely lazy where you don't like working on your body, you don't want to think harder to prioritize wealth creation tactics, you don't want to actually do the work that makes men really attractive, you're going to be in for pain. And sexually, reproductively, you're not going to be rewarded. You're going to be punished on that area in life, and it's going to be very, very hard. So because of that, I'm here to help you. Okay, the first thing you have to do is you have to get rid of your victim mentality. Nobody owes you anything. You can watch as many of my videos as you want. If you don't go out and take action and actually become a stud, you're screwed. And the guys who are willing to take action on this channel are actually going to get ahead. Number two, the second reason why most guys are not able to actually get ahead and attract the women that they want is they don't prioritize health. Okay, I need this to sink in. There is a reason on this channel for the past 4 to 5 years I've prioritized you building your body. Now, can you only attract women on purely looks and purely muscle? Absolutely not. But here's what.
On purely muscle, no. But can you attract women on purely looks? Yes. I've seen it happen. I think every guy's seen it happen. That's always going to be the best way to attract women is looks. Really good looks, especially, great height plus great face, and then sometimes just great height by itself that's going to attract women more than anything else you'll ever do. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. You can get surgery, but that's it. Muscles, though, nah. Building muscles doesn't matter. There is, like I said, there's variance in what women like in terms of frame size. Some women like the really powerfully built frames. Some women prefer the more twink type. Some women prefer in between, and a lot of women probably, let's be honest, don't really care one way or the other. But that's always going to be the issue is the frame and the size of the bones, the width of the bones, the width and thickness of the bones, and the length of the muscle attachments, the length of the muscle bellies and where the muscle attachments are. And then, also things like, the size of the skull. These things are all correlated with each other. That's going to be what interests women. Women have no interest whatsoever in, you add 40 pounds of muscle. You're not That's not going to make you one iota more attractive to women. Okay, that needs to be understood. It will not even a tiny bit. So I mean, don't except in maybe some very extreme edge cases. But it's never going to be like, like you've got some puny body and then I don't care how much shred, quote unquote, you add, that you're going to have women salivating all over you over that, or over your body at least. It's just so it's really not a big deal. There's some edge cases where does have some can have some impact, but it's never going to be a big deal. And whereas Casey makes it a huge thing.
Here's what this symbolizes. Number one, it symbolizes that you're a viable option. On like the raw, visceral, reproductive level, if a girl sees a guy with wide shoulders, a wide back, a small waist, and a six-pack abs, that's the equivalent to you seeing a curvy girl with a nice figure.
No, it isn't. No, absolutely not. No, the equivalent to us of a curvy girl with nice figure is, here's the thing that needs to be understood. There really is no female equivalent of that. Okay. Because you would say, and a lot of black pillars do unfortunately go to this point of saying, well, basically the tall and broad is the equivalent to women of the hourglass figure. No, that's not true. There really is, I mean, tall is the equivalent of basically the whole package for men. Tall is the equivalent of just a woman being hot, just a woman being really attractive. A woman that's basically as far as it goes. Overall, because especially women are, how sometimes you'll see guys say things like, "Oh, she's got like a 6 face but a 10 body." Like, women would never talk like that. Women only rate attraction as a whole, the whole person. This is why women will lose attraction for somebody sometimes based on personality or based on status, whereas men won't do that because we separate we compartmentalize what we're attracted to. Um, I mean, if you really, you can't compare the two, but if you wanted to make an equivalent of the hourglass figure, um, for men, I mean, there really is no comparison for women. I mean, you would say the thing is the hourglass figure. I mean, technically speaking, the equivalent of an hourglass figure for men would be just breadth. You can be a tall woman with an hourglass figure, or a short woman with, a refrigerator figure. Um, and you're same thing. You could be a robust woman with a hourglass figure, and a thin woman with a, up down like ruler figure. Um, that is the same type of thing with men. You could be a twink with a kind of broad shoulders, like relatively speaking, um, and short with broad but tall or skinnier types like that. It's just not something that, whereas the hourglass figure is going to be attractive to men no matter independently, no matter what the woman is. With the man, that sort of I don't know what's called, a V shape is just not something women care about. Gay men might care about it. Some women might like it. And if we're being totally honest, the biggest chads do have it. I'm talking about the giga chads do have it. Those are like the Henry Cavill types, or you could just go back to like the movie stars from the 50s and below. So in that sense, it's true. However, again, not every woman likes the ultra chad type, or wants the ultra chad type. But it needs to be recognized. It's just not that important. Another thing is, I want to emphasize this again. We're talking here, when we talk about the V thing, we're talking about frame size. We are not talking about musculature. If you don't have the mesomorphic frame, no amount of muscle is going to change that. Okay, women want your bones. They can see this more, or even more than men do, and even if it's subconscious. It doesn't matter. You go and you put on 50 pounds of muscle onto your shitty frame. All a woman sees is the shitty frame underneath it. Similarly, if some jacked NFL linebacker stops lifting weights and loses 50 pounds of muscle, women don't even notice because they never noticed all that extra muscle to begin with. All they see is the frame, insofar as they even care about it. So, really off base here.
Like, that does something. So for those of you who you say, hey, I practice my verbals, I practice my game, I try to speak correctly, and in the first
Well, don't do that. That's not going to help you.
5 seconds I'm getting rejected and there's no interest. That's why.
No. You're getting rejected in the first 5 seconds because you're not tall enough and your face isn't good enough and potentially you're too old. And either that, or she just doesn't want to be hit on. And by the way, most Chad, you take the biggest Chads in the world, they are going to get rejected most of the time. Okay? Like I'm saying, like prime Henry Cavill is going to get rejected most of the time. So when you're doing a cold pickup. So so don't no, it's definitely not because you haven't put on enough muscle. That's like it's just you're just completely wrong.
Because in order for you to get your foot in the door, there has to be baseline attraction established.
Yes, and that is going to be based on genetics, on the reflection of your genetics, not any work you've put in, unless that work is plastic surgery, in which case you are faking good genetics. Okay? So you either need to have good genetics or be able to look like you do. That's what it's going to take.
The only way for you to do that is to prioritize your health. So here's what
No, the only way to do that is going to be to get plastic surgery or leg lengthening surgery.
Happens when you prioritize your health. Your testosterone levels go up, your strength goes up, you actually become rock solid and grounded, you look strong, therefore you look viable.
Okay, and then here's going to be a little bit of the hater comment. Casey, you don't look strong to me. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you could outlift me. I know that you could probably crush my throat with one hand. Your physique is very gym muscly. Like you look like somebody who, and I'm sure you have some real world strength. I know that you're German American, so you probably have some from that. But like, whereas I've seen your brother and your father, those guys are just radiate a natural strength and like a real practical strength. You do not. I don't think women look at you and see strength because I don't. I don't. I see, a gym body. And and I got to be honest, I do kind of have to wonder. I mean, I know you could kill me in the gym at least, but like in a fight, well, in a fight you'd beat me just because of the cardio. But in terms of like, if we had a 1 minute long wrestling match, I'm not sure you could overpower me because you just don't look that strong. You don't, and I know a lot of it's genetics. And and again, I want to be clear. I know your genetics mog me, and but I mean, if you want to look strong, I mean, you go to a construction site. Those guys look strong. The Casey Xander types don't. They just don't look strong. They might look good. I think Casey looks good. I think he looks better than those guys at the construction sites. But does he look strong? No, to me, he doesn't. He does not. So I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you how I see it.
Viable and able to protect. The woman feels safe with you. All of these attraction triggers and metrics are extremely important. So until you put down the Jack Daniels, until you put down the beer and cheeseburgers, and until you
in my experience, the key, and I know again, like with some of the really big guys, it's different. I do, I don't know. I know that women do kind of like it to be next to like some really big guys, but generally, the whole safe and protective thing is mostly. It's not even that it's a non-issue, but it tends to be. Women are not really. They don't understand combat. You know, and it sounds like a lot of Zoomer guys in general don't understand combat. So, like to a woman, like a 6'3" twig will make her feel protected. Really, making a woman feel protected and safe is just a matter of being tall. And if you're not, you're not going to inspire that feeling in her. She just women think, oh, he's 6'3". Yeah, he only weighs 140 pounds, but he's 6'3", so he can protect me because women are stupid. And adding so it's not going to the gym is not going to make you seem more protecting, make women feel more protected by you. Like, can you, like, let's be honest here. Can you imagine any woman feeling Casey and firing feelings of safety and protection in any woman? I cannot. I cannot. Sorry.
You finally start making the right foods, prioritizing healthy fats, lean protein. You finally
No, 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 no. This is meme nutrition shit. Do you know what those like? There's no case where you really need that kind of like extreme spurgy macros thing that he was talking about. However, if insofar as you do need it at all, you're talking really about two separate cases. One is when a bodybuilder trying to get down to a very low weight, lean weight, or you have some kind of fighter or wrestler who's trying to get down to a certain arbitrary weight to make weight for a division while maintaining maximum performance. For a guy who's not competing in anything, there's no need to ever worry about that stuff. Okay, because you're very quickly going to hit diminishing returns. You say well, I want to be 10% body fat, with muscles. It's like, okay, you don't need to, if that's what you want, you don't need to start worrying about macros. Macros is like those type of things are only insofar as they're relevant at all, and I really don't think they are. It's only for the most like elite, not necessarily most elite guys, but in like the certain types of performance, like certain types of sports performance, would be the only time it's relevant. When you're talking about making weight in sports, is pretty much the only time it's relevant. But if you're just some guy who's just trying to look good, in some naive hope that it's going to get you more women, you don't need to worry about that shit. You're stressing yourself out for no reason, and that's going to be one of the things that's going to actually inhibit success in this journey of muscling up and getting in shape.
You actually start getting in the gym, structuring your exercises in a progressive overload format, you actually start to do the work to look strong, capable, and able to.
I might do a video about progressive overload. That's coming into lifting. In the late 90s and early 90s from when cyberpunk ruled the primitive internet. Progressive overload was the word of the day. Progressive overload, and I guess they're still hitting it today, but I've really turned on that. I think that progressive overload is actually something to be avoided. I would and we can talk about that maybe in a future video.
To protect, that is going to be the first step. And 99% of guys strictly won't do that. They're just too lazy. Okay? The next step, number 3, is most men do not prioritize wealth creation. Now, I'm going to explain what wealth creation does when you actually prioritize this. And keep in mind, within the next month, I'm coming out with a slew of different options to truly help you guys prioritize wealth and create that wealth and actually have a legacy where you are generating income for yourself on new levels. That is coming very soon. But let's just talk about.
Yeah, and this is, I'll stop after this because this is the part the video I wanted to get about. Because I get a lot of ads on my videos talking about like, oh, hey, you can make money doing this, you can make money doing that. I'm sure if you're on YouTube a lot and you don't have an ad blocker, you probably get a lot of ads like that too. And here's something that I've discovered you can apply to really anything, but I think it's the most noticeable with wealth creation. Although you can also apply it, I think fitness is a lot of it, like fitness type things. But is anything there's a lot of things out there in the world that work, for whatever it is you're trying to do. You're trying to achieve something. There's a lot of things out there that are going to help you get there. There's a lot of stuff that's possible. Sometimes things that you would never imagine are possible. I'm not saying it's not possible to earn a lot of money from home. It absolutely is. I'm not saying it's not possible for you to earn a lot of money from home. But I am going to say this. Any information out there about that's going to guide you to how to succeed in any type of thing, whether it's earning money from home or anything else like that, is all out there for free. So yes, theoretically, I doubt Casey has anything, but theoretically, Casey could have some good insight about wealth creation. However, he would be able to offer you nothing that there isn't already stuff at least as good out there for free. There aren't at least as good free resources out there. So, Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't pay somebody like, maybe not somebody like Casey, but you wouldn't necessarily pay somebody to help you. There could be cases where a coach can be helpful, but they're not going to have any, you know, secret information. I think that's the most important thing to succeed, to understand. And that, I would always recommend figuring it out, trying to figure it out on your own first and trying to apply that. And then, maybe if it's an issue of like accountability or so, because that's really what coaches are about, or accountabilities. Like those Olympic athletes, let's take an Olympic rower or something, who's hires a coach. Um, do you really think that the rower doesn't know what they need to do to train? I think he has a pretty good idea. It's like, okay, I should go row 5 laps today, or I should row at this pace, or at this pace, or at this pace. I mean, and like a trainer with boxing, it's a little different. There's things you need to notice, but they know how training works, and they know how to do it. So it's really just more about but they're not paying the coach for the knowledge usually. You know what I mean? They're paying the coach for the coach's job is to get the best out of you. But you're talking about just that best out of you to push you over the edge. That's all. To like push you to the next level. But you're somebody who's already got the basics already there. And that's what I would say about something like wealth creation. Like if you've gone out there and succeeded and made some money, then yeah, then or at least figured out what you have to do. Then you go out and maybe hire a coach. But you figure out where you're going with stuff first. You try your hand in the game and get it started. Um, the but the idea that you're some bum sitting at home and it's just like, oh well, I want to become a high value full stack male. I'm gonna pay 10 grand for Casey's course or whatever he's charging, and to be in his MBT inner circle, and he's gonna give me information. Like some information Casey gives you might have value. That's true. But it's never going to be anything that isn't already out there for free. There are no secrets, and I would say that that would be the most important thing that I kind of wish I understood when I mean, obviously I never fell for masculinity gurus, but I did make a few attempts to start home-based businesses, and made bad investments because of them. And it wasn't like those, they don't get me wrong, they weren't scams. They were, both the ones that I invested in were by guys who lived and breathed the stuff, were very passionate, wanted to help their students achieve success. I mean, Casey's passionate too, but they weren't even as bad as Casey. But but there were no, everything that I learned from them, I could have learned for myself, and ultimately, that wasn't enough. So, which is why I would stay away from those things. Any type of one size fits all, mass course, like now, if you're talking about an individual coach, that's different. So, yeah. But anyway, that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.